rumours that senior members of the royal family may be in attendance at the ceremony. The Duchess herself is giving nothing away except to say her daughter's wedding dress will be everything anyone could expect.
The whole lot, and Bruce Oldfield's coming up, and so he's going to be around. And that's really nice because he was, you know, in the Bernardo's home in the northeast, where the police headquarters at Ponteland was where he was spent his childhood. So he hasn't been back here for ages, so he's really looking forward to coming up.
As we move to the end.
No photos.
Never said hello?
Joe?
Shall I call a number?
Let's pay him a little visit at work.
Sharp! Sharp!
Shiny man. Poor fellow.
But in the Pacific, American soldiers are still dying, fighting the Japanese Empire. America turns to technology once again. A weapon to end the war. A weapon to change the world. The Alamogordo Desert, New Mexico. July 16, 1945, 5:27 a.m. In 3 minutes, technology will change the world forever. Robert Oppenheimer, the theoretical physicist who loves poetry as much as science. The FBI track his every move, worried that he's a communist. Oppenheimer leads the biggest scientific test in history, the top secret Manhattan Project. Theoretically, fission physics could enable enormous amounts of explosive energy to be released from a single device, the atomic bomb. The bomb is the most advanced weapon in the world, but nobody is sure whether it will work.
Even many of the people who worked on the bomb itself were skeptical that the bomb would actually work. No one had ever done anything like this.
During the war, bombing has escalated enormously. Whole cities of civilians are now being hit. The US military hopes a single bomb can destroy an entire city.
Wreaking that kind of mass destruction. That was something new in the history of warfare. The atomic bombs put an emphatic punctuation to that decision, but the decision was way before August of 1945.
If this test works, the terrifying power of the atomic bomb will be unleashed on Japan. The enemy will have no choice but unconditional surrender. Deputy Commanding General of the Manhattan Project, Thomas Farrell, watches Oppenheimer.
Dr. Oppenheimer grew tenser as the last seconds ticked off. He scarcely breathed. He stared directly ahead.
11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The temperature generated at the center of the explosion is 10,000 times greater than the surface of the sun. The heat turns the desert sand to glass. The explosion is more massive than even Oppenheimer expects.
When it went off in the New Mexico dawn, that first atomic bomb, we thought of Alfred Nobel and his hope, his vain hope that dynamite would put an end to wars.
Even the scientists themselves recognized the gravity of that moment. And of course, Oppenheimer famously said, "I become death, the destroyer of worlds," quoting the Bhagavad Gita, and recognizing that man had really reached a turning point where the power available to us was almost limitless.
When atomic bombs are dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, an estimated 120,000 people die instantly. Over the days, months and years that follow, up to 80,000 more slowly die. A day after the second bomb is dropped, the Japanese surrender. America defeats Japan, but at a terrible price. Having survived the Depression and World War II, the greatest generation comes home.
They'd been through it all, and they wanted one thing. They wanted a better life for their families than they'd had. And that's what they dedicated themselves to.
But 1960s America still has a problem. A growing challenge from beyond the nation's shores. A rival that wants to blow the USA out of the water.
Catch up at 8 tonight with the threat of death by...
July 1945, New Mexico. The Manhattan Project. Robert Oppenheimer leads the team that develops the atomic bomb. The original weapon of mass destruction, terrifying in its power, and America got there first.
Only the Americans in the end had a plausible chance at success because they have the enormous resources they can invest in this thing on a crash basis and make it happen.
But someone else wants one too. America's great rival on the world stage, the Soviet Union. Now that America has the bomb, they'll stop at nothing to build their own. Communist spies even infiltrate the Manhattan Project. The arms race between the world's superpowers has begun.
You could not possibly have grown up in this country in that era without being very acutely aware of that great diplomatic standoff between the Soviet Union and the United States that we call the Cold War.
After 1949, when the Soviets got the atomic bomb, this was a foe that could wreak horrible damage on the United States at an instant's notice. It was a time unlike anything Americans had lived through before.
It's the Cold War, and Americans are on red alert.
We did these duck and cover drills routinely at school.
First, you duck, and then you cover.
Siren would be tested, and we were instructed how to get under the desk and cover your head and your face so that the debris from glass blowing in from the windows when the atomic bomb went off downtown wouldn't hurt us.
Both sides stockpiled weapons to defend themselves against possible attack. From 1940 to 1996, the USA will spend $5.5 trillion on nuclear weapons. That's nearly $20,000 for every man, woman, and child in America.
It was the arrival, really, of the specter of real nuclear war. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were no longer seen as isolated, one-time incidents.
By the mid-1950s, there are over 40,000 defense contractors working for the American federal government. America has always won wars using technology. In the Revolutionary War, the accuracy of the Kentucky rifle was a key factor in defeating the British. 1959, America's first intercontinental ballistic missile. It can travel 3,500 miles and destroy cities. 200 years of American weapons finding their target and defeating the enemy. But this time it's different. This is a war that no one can win. If an atomic bomb is used, there's no going back. Every time the Soviets make a move, Americans fear the worst. (1960), the U-2 incident, when a US spy plane is shot down over the Soviet Union. 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis, the standoff with Moscow over nuclear weapons in America's backyard.
Actual warheads, the actual bombs were in Cuba, were already there, and the delivery system was coming over.
Suddenly it seems very important to have adequate supplies in every home.
I remember vividly people going to the local supermarkets and buying up all kinds of canned goods and throwing them back to their cars and driving up to the Siskiyou Mountains or the Trinity Alps or the Sierra Nevada range to get out of the blast range of any nuclear weapons that might fall in the Bay Area.
There are rumors that an attack may come from within. The Soviet spies are plotting to bring America down. The Senate sets up hearings to unmask communists in the government and media.